Hello there, and welcome to Uncut with Gina and Sukhdev. Very, very excited today to welcome our guest, Michael Losier. I'm going to be sharing his bio with you in a moment, so you get some understanding of what a wealth of experience this gentleman has. My co-host today is Sukhdev. Sukhdev, tell people about you and about your organization.
So my name is Sukhdev Krishan. I'm from Creative Discovery Group. I'm the founder of Creative Discovery Group, and we're a platform for exceptional coaches and consultants across 12 countries. And I'm looking so forward to being here, talking about the law of attraction with Michael, and yeah, really pumped about this episode.
Fabulous. And I'm Gina Gardner. My company is Genuinely You, which is all around empowerment, enlightened leadership, leadership for life. But before we do anything else, I want to introduce Michael to you. And those of you that have been watching the programs will know that I don't want to miss anything, so I'm going to read it. I'm going to make no apology for that. Michael Losier lives in beautiful Victoria, BC, on Canada's west coast. He's the author of the best-selling book, Law of Attraction, The Science of Attracting More of What You Want and Less of What You Don't, and Law of Connection, The Science of Using NLP to Create Ideal Personal and Professional Relationships. Michael began as a trainer with a Teleclass International Incorporated, where he certified over 1,000 teleleaders in unique skills for facilitating and teaching students via the telephone. Through teaching his own classes at Teleclass International, he attracted thousands of seekers wanting to know more about the law of attraction. Soon, Michael became a prominent teacher in the field. Michael caught the attention of Oprah Winfrey, who interviewed him 4 times on her Soul Series radio show on Sirius XM satellite radio. Michael went on to enjoy a year-long run hosting his own radio show on Oprah and Friends. Michael's second book, Law of Connection, was published in 2009 and quickly became another bestseller. The book caught the attention of the business community, who learned new ways of connecting with employees, co-workers, and family, both at work and at home. Michael's how-to style teaches how to create better connections with people in our lives. His third book, Your Life's Purpose, Uncover What Really Fulfills You, helps the reader and student get more clarity about their life's purpose and, most importantly, what they need to be experiencing to live their life's purpose. Michael is so passionate about teaching that he travels the world, sharing his insight into law of attraction, delivering hundreds of hours of teleclasses, podcasts, workshops, and seminars every year. Programs are tailored to meet the needs of the audience. His YouTube videos have millions of views, and his new live weekly internet show, Hang Out with Michael, allows him to connect with fans of law of attraction in an exciting new way. Welcome. We are so pleased that we have attracted you to our show. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. Yep.
My pleasure. Sukhdev, do you want to start?
Yeah, I'm so excited to have you here, Michael. This book is really amazing, and what really catches me, or really stands out for me, is that you released this book 2 years before The Secret came out. And tell us a little bit about your story, about how all this began, and how you got into the law of attraction and using it, and how it worked in your life.
Okay, well, that's a loaded question. First, I want to start with my history. You know, I grew up with an older brother and sister and a very younger sister, meaning I was kind of in the middle, and I wasn't playing with them. Too young, too old. So I was pretty good by myself. And even at a really early age, without knowing it was called law of attraction, because I didn't learn that, I quickly found out the relationship between, because I was bullied, you know, I was big even when I was young. So I learned early that if I focus, and these are words that I'm using today, I didn't use them as a kid. If I focused on being bullied, I would get bullied. And then when I minded my own business, in other words, I didn't focus on it. And so I kind of knew there was a pattern there, and I didn't know why. So as I'm growing up and I'm learning, and I'm an older than but when I was younger, this subject didn't exist. You couldn't buy a book unless you went to a Wiccan bookstore and it was on the bottom shelf. Then you could buy. That's where you had to buy Brian Tracy at one time. And now you can get all of our books at Costco. So it just goes to show you the growth. So so I'm understanding the relationship between being positive and thinking positive, but I never knew why positive people attract negative things. That was my biggest puzzle, because I could tell you, I could convince you about, even way back then, let's focus on something positive, and it would come to us and we'd giggle and laugh and all that stuff, right? So we knew that, but we didn't know that the same rule was applying to negative things. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So I'm always trying to get people on board. I'm young and I'm going to school, and I'm having friends, and I'm finding everybody's coming to me because I'm pretty positive. I was really good at not sending out a negative vibe because I knew what was happening without knowing that was the law, right? So I was pretty careful about my words and my language, always interested in that. And yeah, so fast forward, I moved to Victoria. I'm living here. I'm working for the government. I met some people in some personal development programs. I start work, and my rule about, if you want to be in any industry, you need to be in the industry. So I'm volunteering now. It's like once a month, a 3-day workshop. I'm at the back of the room doing name tags. And you know what I'm doing? I'm learning how high, world-class presenters present, and everything from name tags to what to do. I mean, I was a sponge. I did it for years. It was the Pursuit of Excellence group and those kind of seminars. I volunteered. I was a team leader. I held groups, and I loved it. That was my field, but I was still weird.
Yeah.
I was so weird to all my friends, right? No one was like that.
Weird is.
So, oh yeah, when I was younger, I didn't want to be different and weird, and now it's okay. People call me a quack, and you know what I say? Quack, quack. Okay.
Yeah.
So now I'm working for the government, for the provincial government here, and I'm kind of like a project manager. So I got to do presentations, and a project manager, with all due respect, is an adult babysitter. You got to know everybody's moods and temperament, and what turns them on and what turns them off, and how to motivate them. So now I'm studying NLP through the government. Now I'm learning about the styles, and then I'm kind of talking about law of attraction. A friend calls me that knew me from somewhere, and he said, I think we're kind of on the same page. Do you want to go to a seminar in Seattle? I said, oh, can you send me the agenda? He said, there isn't an agenda. And of course, I'm all agenda. I'm working for the government. I wouldn't go to a meeting without a 10-point agenda. And he wants me to go to Seattle without an agenda. I said, you're crazy. So I live in Victoria. We took a ferry from Victoria to Seattle, maybe an hour and a half. It's a nice drive. And on the hotel, I said, if you don't like it, you can leave. Just leave on the break. And I thought, okay, he didn't know anything. He couldn't tell me anything. So I go to the seminar, and it's an Abraham Hicks seminar. And there's a big lineup, and Esther and Jerry are working the door, right? This is way back then, where they're collecting cash when they're first starting. Not, you know what I mean by registrations and stuff. So I go and sit down. There's no agenda. There's no handouts. There's no flip charts. There's nothing. And I thought, that's totally not my style, because I need it all. I need flip charts, videos, worksheets, blank worksheets, team groups. And I thought, oh, I don't know if I can last. But you know what I learned before the break? And my friend was real honest. He said, I'm staying the day. We were downtown Seattle. He goes, leave on the break. But right before the break, I got the most important message in my whole life. And here was the message. Law of attraction responds to both negative and positive vibrations. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't know the difference. And that's why it's called the law. And until then, I always thought it wasn't working, it was broken, or why would it do that? But it's not a thing, or it's not a person, it is the law. And the law says you will get more of whatever the vibe that you send, whether negative or positive. So with all due respect, law of attraction isn't very smart, but it's very obedient. So when I learned that that's the law, I don't have to explain it, that's the law. And then I merged, and I came home on the ferry, I came to Victoria, my buddy went to Vancouver, and on the way home the ferry, I thought, it was so exciting for me because that was the piece. I didn't have to defend it. I didn't have to explain it. And I didn't have to really own it other than here's my understanding. And that's how I've taught it ever. Here's my understanding. You get what you vibrate, period.
Yeah.
So I get home and I call my friend Linda Story, master NLP practitioner. And I said, you know what? Because her and I were kind of doing this together, but didn't. And then when I told her what I learned, she said, well, let's meet this Sunday. So we had a little office that her and I rented out. Remember, I'm still working for the government once a week. I paid, I think, $20 a week to rent this office space.
Yeah.
And I was having people come to this office space, 4 people. I was talking about law of attraction. I knew I was on my way to being a teacher. You know,
Yeah.
I was a trainer at the government. I was training computer stuff. Oh, I'm sorry, I just fell asleep. But now I'm really teaching something exciting. And within a year, we had to come to my house. We had 44 people coming with cushions and lawn chairs. And you guys know, you bring 44 people together, somebody's got to be in charge, right? Somebody's got to be in charge. There's got to be a process. There's got to be an agenda, and people got to come. So before you know it, I'm developing stuff with my friend Linda because we're NLP. We know about the 4 styles. So after teaching these groups for a year and people sending me thank you notes, and I love how you did this, and I love this, and I love how you reframe stuff, and I love how you future, like just a collection of everything. Then I started doing it on teleclasses. And once a week, I was co-partner with a company called Teleclass International. We had this was well before videos. This was no Zoom. Like this was probably 22 years ago. So every Thursday I was on the phone doing, and I'd have hundreds of people, network marketing companies were telling people about my information because I was helping people understand that it exists. It wasn't something that you have to buy into. It's already existing. So I'm still working for the government. I go to a seminar or a speaker that the government hired, and it was really uplifting and motivating and stuff. And, you know, when you're in Victoria, if you're still here like at 8 o'clock, you're not getting off the island, period, right? You're not getting to the ferry. You're probably, so I knew he was stuck on the island. So I said, hey, do you want to go for dinner? So we just ended up walking around. And I said, oh, I'd really like to do what you do. He says, well, if you had a book, it would be helpful. I have a book. I'm a government employee. I don't have a book. On the way home, I said, well, you don't have a book, but you have a binder. You have an 8-inch binder of notes and thank you cards. And I love this. And I love how you do that. People taking pictures of when I'm describing stuff, people interpret it. And I thought, oh, I like that. I never thought of that. So that night, I was a 2-year project to turn those notes into seminars. So I was doing law of attraction seminars in Victoria anywhere. Where? Anywhere. The basement of Chapter's bookstore, coffee shops, church basements. If you can get 4 people, I was coming in and I was standing in the front room and you were going to introduce me like I was at a big seminar. I was, because you know why I knew that? Because I was volunteering.
Yeah.
So I said to myself, if there's 2 people in their living room, I'm going to get introduced and I'm just going to follow it. I'm just going to be in the energy of what I see other speakers did. And you know what? I became pretty popular with the message because you know how many books had the word law of attraction in the title? 0. Mm-hmm. So I'll make a long story short. In 2 years, I took an 8-inch binder and I said, I'm going to write a book. Mm-hmm. So I went to the post office and I said, how thick can a book be before it doesn't fit in the slot? And they told me. And I went to Chapters, and Chapters is our big bookstore, and I measured it. A 144-page book will fit in the slot of an envelope. So, you know, I'm thinking I might sell 100, and I don't want to double the postage, because after that, so I'm thinking back then, so I worked pretty smart, you know, 144 pages, it fits in an envelope. So meanwhile, the very first thing I did was the cover.
Yep.
And then I'm still doing these I just got a website. I mean, this is like, you know, 18 years ago, nobody really had a website. And if they did, it wasn't for business. Like it didn't make, you know how it didn't catch on? But I put this and I collected emails for a year during all the classes. And I said, you know what, I want to put a book out. And I'm thinking 100, I'm going to sell 100. So meanwhile, I made a commitment and I ordered 5,000 of these from a Canadian printer. at 99 cents each. That's what I paid for this book. It wouldn't cost that now, you know,
No,
it'd be way
very
more.
different.
Anyway, I committed to 5,000. I'm still working for the government. I don't have $5,000, but I got a blank credit card and it has 5,000 or more dollars, and I was safe. And I knew I had a data. I knew I could sell 100 of them to my friends and family just because I have a book, and other people. But so I get a call from Friesens, the book people, and they said, your books are ready. They're going to be COD. You can have them by Thursday. We're going to deliver them Thursday. So I said, okay. So I said, okay, I've got 4 days. So I kind of prepared the email. So I sent the email out. I had 2,800 people on the email that said they were interested. So I sent it out right away. I got like 100 bounces. You know, they were old and they didn't work. And then I go back to my computer and I thought I had a virus. It said, you've got a new sale. You've got a new sale. You've got a new sale. And it was streaming, and it was like a ticker tape. And I sold all 2,800 books in one email.
Good grief.
And then I was really screwed. Right? So I thought, oh, now you got to mail them. You thought writing the book was the hard part? Well, now you got to mail it. So I called an emergency book packing party. I mean, I was really naive. I don't know what I thought. I didn't have any envelopes in my house, but I sent a note out to buy my book. What was I thinking? I was thinking small. That's what I was thinking.
I have to tell you, it's a really great problem to have. Any author, I'm an author, I'd love to have that.
Oh, I know. Well, I had to solve it fast. Shorten the story, I got my friends together. We went and bought rolls and rolls of stamps and sign it, lick it, put it there, sign it, lick it, put it here. And then poof, everything went quiet. Everybody that knew I had a book knew it and decided or didn't decide. And I thought, there, I just made money. Good, I'm gonna move on. Oh no, you're not. So 2.5 days when people got their book, guess what was happening? My email flooded again.
Mm-hmm.
Can we buy 10 of those? And so people were wanting more books and I didn't have any books. So anyway, make a long story short, I sold about 200,000 copies on my own, doing seminars. People were buying boxes of 76. It comes in a box of 76. I sold lots of people bought boxes of those. I was number 3 on Amazon after Oprah interviewed me. I was number 3 I was a self-published author from Gilligan's Island. That needs a little island on Canada's west coast. And I was number 3 and nobody knew who I was. Number 1 was The Secret. Yeah. Number 2 was Harry Potter. And Michael friggin' Losier was number 3.
Very good company.
I was in good company. So quick little story. So then I'm starting to get emails from foreign publishers. What's that? What is that? You know what? I'm so far from being an author. You know, matter of fact, I don't even read books. I've read 10 books in 31 years. I've got 3 books in my house. They're right there. So I don't know what a foreign publisher is. Mm-hmm. So they're emailing me, say, can we speak to your foreign rights manager? Here's what's happening. All the foreign publishers around the world, they depend on Amazon to find out what's hot. Mm-hmm. So they go to Amazon and Michael Losier, who nobody knows from Gilligan's Island, is number 3 for like 8 days. I was in the top 5. Do you know how many books you sell when you're in that? Oh, meanwhile, yeah. So I'm getting all these foreign rights. And I thought, well, you know what? And I didn't even know what that job was. And I wrote back and I said, I'm going to take your name and email and what someone's going to. So I'm getting a spreadsheet together and now I'm a little nervous. I've got like 20 countries asking me and I'm just pretending I'm admin. I'll take your name. And now they're emailing back. What's it going to take to make sure you consider our offer? And I thought, oh, Michael, you need some ASAP help. Yeah. So I invoked law of attraction. And I said, I need to attract the ideal resource who can take all of this away. And then I get a phone call from New York. And this woman said, in a real strong New York accent, her name was Liza. Her name's still Liza. She said, I've been trying to find you. She said, everyone's looking, they're calling me. And she said, I finally got a hold of you by phone. It was, no, by email. The first thing was by email. And she said, I've got a request. I'm going to make this country up because from Uruguay, like, you know, I don't even know what that was. And she said, here's what I do. She said, we're a foreign rights manager out of New York. Our job is to negotiate in the proper language and do all the contract work for, I think she said like 72 countries in the world. And then and I said, oh, I'm thinking, oh my God, this is her. She's my new best friend. Call me every 5 minutes, right? So I said, well, you know what? I could use you right now. She said, what do you mean? I said, well, I have a database of 31 countries with email, and I think she fainted on the other, because that's what they do. They have to go hunt them down and pitch countries. So she said she was in. So she sent, I sent her the list. Within 2 weeks, my book was sold in 31 languages. Now it's published in 37 languages. Now it's not available anymore. It's not a print or whatever. It's very old. It's 18 years old. And then she called me. She said, the word's out that I know how to get a hold of you. So she said, we've got some $1 million offers for your book.
Wow.
That's what she told me. One of them was to revamp it, make it part of the Secret series in some way. I said no to that. My book was 2003. The Secret came out in 2006. There's no reference to The Secret in here, of which I was asked to participate twice and passed on the offer, BTW. So I did. I turned down $1 million offer because they wanted to secretize it. So I said no to that.
And I know your story's not finished, but I would be really interested to know, what was your rationale behind not becoming part of The Secret?
Okay, now put it in context that I don't know who anybody is.
Yeah.
So my book is really hot. It's number 3.
Yeah.
And I'm getting lots of people emailing me to take advantage of me.
Yeah.
Some of them want me to sign deals and exclusive this. And when I was a government employee, I didn't know anything. So not that I get burnt, but I learned a really valuable lesson. I don't have to say yes just because I was asked.
No, I think that's a really good lesson for everybody, isn't it?
That's a very good lesson. So I was saying yes to that and yes to this. And then people were taking my information. And then I go to their website. Now they're selling that audio recording like I did for them, like to, get on their radio show or whatever. So I was learning a lot about the industry. So when I did get a call from Rhonda, or email rather, all I heard was, you'll have to come to Los Angeles on your own expense and stay on your own expense. And I'm going to own the rights to everything you say. So, with all due respect to where it was, you read that and you're thinking, and so my vibe right now is everybody's out to use me. I'm being really vulnerable and honest, right? That's because that's what my experience was. So everything that I get at that point is through that filter. So how was I reacting? My book was out, and now I'm hearing everybody say, hey, have you seen The Secret? Have you seen The Secret? And I said, The Secret. And everybody says, yeah, they're talking about your stuff, law of attraction, or stuff that you talk about. So I resisted The Secret. I didn't want to watch it. I was pissed off and resentful. Oh, sorry, cut that out. I was resentful. And I thought, oh, I'm done. I quit my government job. I sold a book. I'm 3 years in. I'm doing a law of attraction seminars. And then now I'm getting different kind of emails. And I'm, my books, so here's one of the times that happened what happened with the Oprah thing. So Oprah's talking about the secret, but she doesn't use the word secret. She uses the word law of attraction. Now people go to Google, and how many books have the word law of attraction in them?
Many.
Mine. So people aren't connecting it. So that's how my book got to number 3. And then after that, Oprah's team called me and I was interviewed. So everything was just all the unfoldment. So here's the thing about The Secret. Without The Secret, my book would have not sold in 37 languages, period. It's because of The Secret. So The Secret is inspirational, but it's not educational to the degree. It doesn't have the how-to tools. So Secret, and put this right on the back of it, would have been a beautiful marriage. Yeah. But I wasn't willing to sell the rights, particularly to the allowing piece of my book, which unfortunately isn't covered in very many places, not to mention The Secret. It's like, how do you allow? What's an allowing? So that's my story about that. And for a while, I was worried about my decision. I don't know if I regretted it, but I thought, oh, I missed an opportunity. But then when I realized that I was the how-to guy, that's what Oprah called me. If Oprah's calling me the how-to guy, guess what? I've got a new title. Yeah. And then I owned it. I thought, I am the how-to guy. So then from there on in, I never had to make the secret wrong. Just like I said to you, the secret was very inspirational and that inspired you. Now you can take action with the how-to steps. So I'm acknowledging the secret's existence. It changed the planet. People got it. They understood it.
I think it's really interesting that you say that, because one of the things that I felt after having read The Secret and watched the film was there's a piece of this jigsaw missing. There were many people I spoke to who came away having watched that or read it, thinking, all I've got to do is to set the intention that the Porsche is going to turn up on my drive and it will happen. And they were very disappointed when it didn't. So I think it's really interesting that as I read the notes that you have sent, how much of this is so practical in terms of, if you want to engage that law and use that law in a constructive way, there are certain steps that make the difference.
That's right. Well, you carefully used the word engaged, because law of attraction is already existing. We don't have to turn it on. There's not a switch. You can engage it, i.e. or manipulate it by thinking, okay, if this switch is turned on right now and I'm getting what I'm vibrating, what if I was more deliberate in the vibration that I was sending? So as law of attraction is eavesdropping on my vibrational bubble, it's caught me sending the vibration of what I want, not what I don't want. So that's why it's called deliberate attraction. It's called deliberate attraction because I'm doing something deliberately. And what I'm deliberately doing is minding my vibration. And I'm pinging stuff away. I don't eat food that I don't like. I don't smell things I don't like the smell of. And I don't be around people that I don't make me feel good, because I'm that selfish. I'm so selfish, selfish being self-care.
Yeah.
I care about my vibrations so much, I won't allow anything to contaminate it. Yes, I had to fling and lose a couple friends. Yes, I had to let go of a client, but my vibration's pure as it can be as a human being. And the purer the vibration, the faster the speed of desire. So I can desire stuff, and the speed at which I attract anything is determined how much negative vibration that I have. And when you're deliberate and have a high vibration, guess what? Place your order. But if you're ticked off and angry and sending this linus cloud of dust around you, you can't manifest, because the negative vibration is diluting the positive vibration of the desire. It's math.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because there's research, I don't know how they've done it, but it shows that 95% of our thinking is habitual. It's not, it doesn't cross our conscious mind at all, any more than, our cells growing or our nails growing. And it seems to me that, that one of the things that I've taken from having read some of your stuff is that it is the conscious. You talk about the deliberate thinking, that conscious thinking, and being aware of old patterns of thinking, which leads to particular patterns of vibration that make the difference.
I'm just going to show you a little illustration. I'm such a trainer, people call me motivational speaker, and I correct them really fast. I'm not a motivational speaker. I'm a motivated trainer. So I want to show you one of my things. So what I'm going to talk about, what you're talking about, but I want to teach it in a way that satisfies all the 4 styles so they can hear it, get it, and understand it.
Brilliant.
So here is the cycle results. So in our life, we can have 2 kinds of results, negative results and positive results. We can look at our relationships, our money, our clients, our customers, our health, and all of us can identify an area where I like my results and I don't like my results. So the results that you're getting in any area are the manifestation from the vibe that you're sending.
Right.
So people thinking, well, what's the vibe I'm sending? Well, that's easy. If you want to know what the vibe is that you're sending about money, open your wallet. It's a perfect match. You want to know what the vibe is you're sending about attracting clients or customers, open your client customer file folders. You want to know the vibe you're sending about getting that job interview. How's that working for you? I didn't create the rule, I'm teaching it. The results that you're getting are a direct reflection of the vibe that you're sending. I know that people have had that experience. Or they're having a bad day, they're ticked off, and the day gets worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. Why? Law of attraction is doing what? It's responding to the vibe that you're sending. And it doesn't know whether you like it or not, or whether it's healthy or not, or whether you want it or don't want it. It's not very smart. The universe is not smart, it's obedient.
Yeah.
The universe isn't doing it to you or for you, it's matching your vibration. The universe isn't testing you, it's matching your vibration. The universe isn't sending you signals about whether you should do it or not, it's matching your vibration.
So let me ask you a question.
Okay.
There's somebody
Let me
listening
settle
to
down.
you who's unfamiliar with this, with the law, okay? And they want to know the question. I recognize now from what you've been saying that I have been vibrating at a negative, in a negative way. I've had negative thoughts. I'm surrounded by energy vampires. But I now know that I want to do things differently.
Right.
What would you suggest is the way that they can best harness a different way of being? That's the first part of the question. The second is, do you get a sense of how, what the time frame is? Or is that something, well, I'll leave that question to you.
Yeah, ask that question after I talk about this. So what I'm hearing you ask, and I'm translated into my ears,
Yeah.
is there a way for me to reset the results that I'm getting if I don't like them? Did I hear you say that?
I
That's
beautiful.
what I thought.
Reframe it. Thank
So I'm going to show things, and in my attempt to show things, it's going to help burn the image.
Yeah.
Because I'm a trainer and I want people to get it. If you're taking notes, draw the circle the size of a golf ball and burn this image. The most important thing you're going to hear in today's interview is that you have the ability to reset.
Mhm.
This is a reset button.
Yeah.
What a gift that is. You mean I can reset this? I can reset the results that I'm getting? Yes. But I'm going to tell you how you have to do that. Now, you guys can fill in the blanks.
Okay.
And I'm going to show you the picture as well. If I want to reset my results, I need to reset my,
Vibration.
that's right. You know, the only way to get a different result is to send a different vibration.
Yeah.
Hey, I don't like these results anymore. Well, got to set your vibe. Well, that doesn't tell you what to do.
Yeah.
What tells you what to do doesn't tell you how to do it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to reset my, no, that doesn't, just saying I'm going to reset my vibe doesn't reset your vibe. So we're going to work backwards. Let's review again. You want to reset the negative results to something else? Well, then you got to reset your vibe. If you want to change the vibe that you're sending, then you need to change your what?
Thoughts.
Thoughts. You see, the thoughts that you're thinking, whether you're observing it or remembering or pretending, whether you're remembering or thinking about something positive or negative, observing something positive, negative, or watching or listening or smelling or touching, you're sending a vibe.
Yeah.
So when I'm taking a look, for example, I might get up in the morning and look at my email and I got 2 people canceled overnight. So what do I do with that? Well, you know, not me. You know what most people do? They tell everybody. I had 2 people, I hate when that happens. I had 2 people cancel overnight. What am I going to do now? And then I go, I had 2 people cancel overnight.com, and they complain out there. And then they tell everybody, oh yes, I had 2. Well, guess what? The more you think about that, the more you send the vibration. You're not even doing it on purpose. When you give anything attention, energy, or focus, it causes you to match the vibration. So now I'm thinking about something and those thoughts. So if I'm thinking about this great client that I had, they did this and this and this and this. That's why gratitude is important. It doesn't have to be the word gratitude, but in your attempt to give gratitude, you're including the vibration of what you like. And when you complain, you're including the vibration about what you don't like. And we know the rule, you get what you vibrate.
Yes.
So how do I change what I'm thinking? Well, your thoughts are made up of, say it when you see it.
Words.
Words. So the words you're using are creating the thoughts that you're thinking that are sending the vibe is getting matched. So I still haven't told you how. I told you what to do.
Yeah.
Change your words. Oh, how do you do that? Well, guess what? I'm the how-to guy. I want you to say them when you see them. What are the 3 words to eliminate?
Don't, not, no.
Draw a circle, draw the international do not use symbol through it, burn this image, burn it. Look at it, burn it, burn it. You see, every time you use the word don't, not, and no, you just gave attention to what you didn't want to give attention to. And as I give anything attention, it causes me to send the vibration of what I said I didn't want. And when I send the vibration of what I don't want, the obedient law of attraction unfolds and gives it to me. And then when I get it, I point it and say, well, that's exactly what I said I didn't want. I've been saying all week I didn't want that to happen. But as you were saying all week that you didn't want it to happen, you were including the vibration of it because you used the word don't, not, and no. We're going to play a quick little law of attraction game, then I'm going to tell people how to fix it. Both of you are playing this game. If you had a buzzer, we're going to press one. What am I giving attention to when I say, I don't want my clients to cancel? What did I give attention to?
Your clients cancel.
I don't want this to be difficult. What did I give attention to?
You want it to be difficult.
Difficulty.
Don't forget.
Forget.
Yeah. You won't be disappointed.
Oh, such disappointment.
Yeah, this is not a scam.
It is a scam.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I didn't know it was until you brought it up. Or how about when the doctor says this won't hurt? It's like, oh, I didn't think it was, but now that you brought it up. You see, every time you use the word don't, not, and no, you just brought attention to what you didn't want to bring attention to. If you're not sure what I mean, go to Google and type in no sex and see what shows up. Type in no football. Google strips the way words don't, not, and no and brought you what you said you didn't want.
It's the reason why when you drive along a road and you see that somebody has crashed their car into the one tree at the side of the road,
yes,
they've been busy saying, don't hit the tree, don't hit the tree.
That's right. And at that point, you better reset your own vibe and mind your vibration, because law of attraction doesn't know that you're observing. You know, I remember one time my parents said they had their garage or something, somebody broke into their garage. And I mean, I was an adult when they had repeated the story. And the police officer said, well, be careful because it sometimes happens twice. So in Michael Losier's term would be, as you're telling everybody that you've gotten broken into, law of attraction doesn't know whether you want it or don't want it. And now it's started to unfold and orchestrate so you can get broken into again because you're giving it attention, energy, and focus. And now that the police officer said you might get broken into, you cannot not give it attention. How can law of attraction buck that current when the only current was we're going to get broken into a second time? See, they're just words. But these words influence our thoughts and influence our vibration. I'm going to repeat the three words again. Every time you use the word don't, not, and no, here's the reset sentence. So, what do I want? Mm-hmm. Don't forget. Don't say, oh, what do I want? Remember. Doesn't that feel better?
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't eat at the computer. What if your kid says, so what do you want?
Yeah.
You say, well, don't talk back to your mother. Well, what do you want? Well, talk nice to your mother and eat at the counter or eat at the table. Every sentence can be reframed. A sign that says, don't park here, underneath it, I should say, what do you want? What could the sign say? Don't park here could be,
park somewhere else.
Park over there.
Yeah.
Big department store. Don't use this door. What could it say?
Use the door around the corner.
Or use that door or whatever. Point to it.
Yeah.
Every time we use the word don't, not, and no, we just gave attention to what we didn't want to give attention to. And as you give anything attention, it causes you to send the vibration, whether wanted or unwanted. And the obedient law of attraction is eavesdropping on your vibration right now, and it's unfolding and orchestrating to bring you more of what you give your attention to. So from now on, every time you go to use the word don't, not, and no, you cannot not hear my voice in your head and say, so what do you want? Matter of fact, today, if you go to type the word don't, not, and no, your baby finger is going to react and jerk because it needs to backspace, because every sentence in the whole world can be reframed and relanguaged with the reset sentence of, so what do I want? So just to summarize, you can reset the results. And it's as easy as eliminating and reducing the words don't, not, and no. That's where it starts. And as you give it sense into something that you do want, now you're vibrating what you do want. Law of attraction doesn't know whether you want it or don't want it. The same results will happen.
Yeah. It's such powerful stuff. And at its core, really simple.
Thank you. Well, that's a compliment. I made it simple. Yeah. You know, when my book first came out, it was on Amazon. You know, I wasn't, yeah, when I was selling on Amazon, I got like maybe 500 or 600 reviews. They're all good. A couple people gave me a 1-star. One woman said, I don't know if you have this reference, Gina, but I'll say it and then we'll explain it. One woman said, oh, this book is so Dick and Jane. Do you know what that term means?
No, I don't.
Well, in America or in Canada, the book was called Dick and Jane. It was see spot one. It's how you learned how to read.
Oh, we've got Janet and John.
That's right. So everybody, you respect that, right? It's like now they're learning about helicopters and caterpillars, but when I was a kid, it was Dick and Jane, and that was a compliment. So when the woman said, so I called my friend Linda, my NLP master friend. I said, oh my God, what am I going to do? I'm getting some feedback and my feelings are hurt. So I said, what did she say? And she said, my book's so Dick and Jane. She says, tell her this. Thank you for the most extraordinary compliment. It took me 2 years to make it easy so anybody could understand it. And I loved measuring the result of the Dick and Jane-ness of my book from your feedback. Thank you for the compliment. That's an NLP reframe if I've ever heard one. And that reframe was important to me. So when people said, one woman said, there's too many worksheets. And I said, thank you. I've got a compliment for my worksheets. I'm glad you noticed there's so many. Sometimes it keeps people off, but
of engagement and work. Yeah. So Sukhdev, have you any questions that you want to ask? Because I've got several in my bag, but I want to make sure that you get your opportunity.
Yeah, so I wanted to, like, your training is really awesome. I'm learning a lot just listening right now. Yep. And so I want to go back to the Oprah time. If you could share a little bit more of that time, and then like, are you still in contact with her today, or?
Oh no, please, no,
no,
not at all. She probably doesn't know my name. Although she read my book, they bought a box of my books, passed it all around. Insisted they buy them, and everybody loved my book there. I went to Chicago first I was asked to put a demo together. I was already hosting a radio show on Voice America, so I kind of knew I was good on the radio, right? I wasn't new by the time that this came about. I had my own show. I had guest format on it and all kinds of stuff, and then I got a call that said Oprah wants you to put a proposal together or a thing. So they told me what they needed. They wanted to, So I did. I got all my friends together. They supplied everything, and I did everything. And they pieced it together. They put it on a CD, and they said within 2 minutes, like she was in, And if you take a look at the gang, I call them the gang from the Oprah and Friends. There were some big players there: Maya Angelou, Dr. Oz, the Jewish rabbi. I said Gail King and Michael Losier from Gilligan's Island. It was so awkward, but I was never in their presence. So when I got that offer, I sent in the CD, and they said, "Yeah, we're in. Oprah wants to interview you." No, I'm sorry, that's not how it worked. I was interviewed by her 4 times, and then I got that offer. That's how they knew about me. And because my book was so high on the charts, and they didn't want to have it on TV. That's my own judgment. They didn't say that. You just knew it wasn't going to go to the TV about law of attraction. So I'd gone to Vancouver. I was traveling, and I had to go to a satellite station, and there wasn't one in Victoria. So they looked after everything. I got to Vancouver. Somebody picked me up. I went to the radio station, and I did the interview. And I had a interview with Oprah, and she read my book, and she loved in my book, I had a little list at the end of each chapter that said, in this chapter, you should have learned. She read that word for word. She said, I love this. She loved my book. She told everybody. I'm not allowed to quote any of that anywhere, but if you listen to the radio, she says it all. Really? So that was it. And the interview was done. And, as you know, with radio and interviews, when they're done, they're moving on. So even though it was highly produced. So then here's what happened. So it was, in Victoria, Vancouver, it wasn't cold, but this was like early March. So I put a jacket on, I zipped it up, I put my knapsack on, I put a hat on, and I'm ready to leave. And the producer knocks on the glass and said, Oprah. So I thought she was coming back to thank me, right? So remember, I'm fully dressed. I put the headset on, and then I hear the jingle music, and Oprah says, you loved him so much last week, we had to bring him back. So I had to do the second interview fully dressed, fully zipped up. So then that happened. And then I said, oh my God, that happened. And then they start to edit them and put them together. And I'm going to make up a story between that. I don't know that this happened. I'm being very careful. So then I got another call. So now I'm in Australia. I'm in Australia for 28 days. I think I went to Vancouver to go to Australia, and I did the interviews, and then I left. And I knew they were going to produce and it was going to take a month and blah, blah, blah. And then like 2 days later, I get another call and said, Oprah really likes you. How are you at answering questions? And I said, oh, I'd love to do that. She said, well, Oprah wants to do a show when we have guests. And they said, do you want to know the questions in advance? And I said, no. So now I'm in Australia. They had to contact a radio station at 3:30 in the morning and open up a station. Oh, you know, the Oprah show doesn't care, right? So my team from Australia, now we're going to a radio station at 3:30 in the morning to do this call-in show. And Oprah at the top, she said, okay, we've got people queued in. And she said, do you want to know the questions? And I said, no. She said, are you sure? She said, I said, no. Now remember, I've been teaching and training and from the same book for 2 or 3 years plus. So I knew I was on. I didn't have notes or anything. So now we're getting callers in and I am just sound biting it. And in this world, a sound bite is just, I've been doing it today, real nice little nuggets. And I'm full of them, right? I'm popping this and popping that and popping this. So then that interview got done. And then the producer says, okay, we'll just stay on the line. And then she said, if you got enough energy, Oprah would like to do that again, do another one. So I end up having 4 interviews. They all get produced with music and all that other stuff. It aired. So my, way back in Victoria days, people remember me saying this in a seminar. I would always, at this time, Dr. Phil was on Tuesdays on Oprah. It was Dr. Phil Tuesdays. And I said, I want to be Michael Mondays. That's what I wanted. But of course, I had beliefs about the subject matter and that I was Canadian, all these stupid little beliefs that why it couldn't happen, right? So now I'm finding out on Oprah's channel, on Michael Monday, Tuesday, when. So for a whole week, I was in heavy rotation, at least 5 times a day. That interview number 1 went for a week. And then everything blew up. And that's where the numbers blew up on Amazon. And then I think into the 3rd week, like I was the 3rd highest listened guest of all the interviews that she did. I was the most interviewed guest on the Soul series. And that's when I got the invitation. Oprah wants you to put something together. I put something together. They flew me to Chicago. I'm staying at the Omni Suites Hotel, like everybody does. So fast forward a quick little funny story. So I'm going there for 6 months. Once a month, I go to produce 4 half-hour shows.
Yep.
Now there's lawyers and it's so produced. But with me, everybody just sitting back. There was nothing. They said, all the lawyers said that you're the easiest one ever. They didn't have to get me to change anything. So here's the funny story. I'm going to the Omni Suites Hotel. I usually arrive and wake up the next day and stay that night so I can leave early in the morning. So I'm not, because it's a long day to West Coast. So I'm into like month 4 and I go to the Oprah radio studio, which is across the street from the TV studio. That's where all the radio shows happen. And one of the women that works there, she really liked me. She loved my show. She said, are you enjoying the spa at the Omni Suites? And I said, no. She said, you are getting room service and stuff, right? And I said, no. I'm thinking, I ran out to Subway in the rain last night to eat. She said, oh, we'd be mortified. She said, you have an unlimited account at the Omni Suites Hotel. I said, oh, do I? And then I only went one more time and then we hooked up my office, but that's how that went down.
How wonderful.
It was wonderful, yes. I loved it. I wasn't allowed to promote it. I wasn't allowed to put it on my page, and there was lots of legal rules and stuff, but you know what? I was happy and I got paid to do it. So that was I was actually an employee of Oprah Winfrey.
Well, isn't it? Because she was particularly then such a huge name. Well, she is still now, but in terms of being very proactive about what she was putting out, it was an opportunity to have a ready-made platform, wasn't it, to get to so many people.
Yes. Oprah did have the 5 or 6 people from The Secret on. They were on stools, and this is my judgment about that. It was disastrous. And that's when I got contacted after that. You know, they were kind of contradicting each other, and they were kind of selling their processes. I don't even know how it ever got aired, and I'm being real honest and transparent about that. To hear them, like the marketing and the contradictions, and you can go back and look at it. And that's when Rhonda Byrne said, you only need to think of it once. Well, that's so not true. Now, is it possible? Yes. But what a frightful thought. Some of the thoughts some people have, you don't want to think of that more than once, right? And then the credibility went down, and that's when someone says, we got to fix this problem. And then Oprah interviewed Esther Hicks, I think on 2 interviews. And then I was the next guest. So it transitioned, you know, from
the interesting segue to look at Esther Hicks' work and then go into yours, because ultimately I think, again, it's the how-to that is so powerful, translated to something that people can really take on easily. That's for me to be the nub of the difference. Is
right.
It doesn't stay out here, it becomes something that's tangible. And
that's right. And Oprah acknowledged that too. That's why, you know, she acknowledged that I acknowledged my contribution from the Hicks, you know. That's where I learned about contrast. I learned there about the difference. And she knew that I was the how-to guy. You know, I was very deliberate when I wrote my book. Here's words that you won't find in my book: universe, spiritual, or God.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been able to teach it, and not me teach it, but I've been able to certify or sell it in 37 languages. I have 471 trainers in 17 countries. I've taught this in Islamic schools in Malaysia, in Salt Lake City, and the Jewish church in New York City, everywhere, and everybody can find themselves in it. There's not one religion or group that can say, oh, that offends me. Matter of fact, they like it because it explains why they attract negative things, so they don't have to blame their God. You know, one time I did a teleclass, and it was a group of women, and the email address, I'm going to make this up, the first part, it said Gina@shelovesgod.com. I don't know what Gina wants from me. And she said, we'd love to have you as a guest on our teleclass days. And she said, yes, we're all God lovers, and we just want to, you know, don't want to judge you. We want to hear what you have to say. They were thrilled, because what I did, I got God off the hook for negative things they're attracting. Now, they're still going to compliment and credit God for the positive things, but now the negative things are because of law of attraction, because of the words, and they're willing to practice it. So that was a very big lesson for me. And I used it many years, that little explanation about, well, you know, God wasn't bringing negative things. Now you know why. And they just own it like that. So
brilliant. Sukhdev,
well, that was a lot of stories
that you'd like to ask, because if not, I shall jump in.
Yeah, so I just want to know if, well, what top 3 tips would you give to somebody who's looking to, you know, let's say if they didn't have a really good upbringing, and they're stuck in this really negative state, and they feel like all the stuff is always happening to me, and they can't seem to get out of that little rut of the negative thinking and blaming others, and they're just stuck there. So what top 3 pieces of advice would you have for somebody to maybe just shift their mindset so they can move forward and start being positive?
Will a glass of water come with this pill that needs to be swallowed? You know what I mean by that? I'll tell you what, if you brought someone to me right now and you said, can you help my buddy? His life or her life is a mess. Number 1, we would start with accountability. Now, the word accountability has 2 words buried within it. One is account, and the other is ability. So accountability is your ability to account for everything that you attract, whether it's negative or positive. And by doing so, you can't blame anybody or anything. You don't have to like it, but you can say, oh, I attracted this negative thing to my life. I don't like it, but I attracted it. So that's what accountability is. The next is responsibility. Two words buried within that. One's responsible and one's ability. What is your ability to respond? Do you get ticked off and rageful and go to IHateMyLife.com? Or do you say, ooh, I got to reset this? And so it's not what happens to you, it's how you respond. We all get ticked off, we all get angry, me too, as long as you do it briefly. So my ability to respond in a negative way, it's okay, just do it briefly. So one, what am I attracting? And I need to own it. Number two, I got to take responsibility for everything. And number three is about integrity. And it's my definition, not mine, it's one that I use. And I'm going to, you know how when you bought the 7 habits of highly effective people, one of them was 75 habits within the habits. So even though you said 3, we're going to double click on, this last one. Just hold on. What word did I just use?
Integrity.
Integrity. It's 3 things. Say yes when you mean yes. Say no when you mean no. And always do what you say you're going to do. Period.
Sounds good to me.
Oh, here's another one. Don't explain and don't complain. Oh, I've got lots of them. And I can rub people the wrong way too. But you know what? Some people, I said, no, you don't need to explain. Just tell me yes or no. Oh, you're so blunt. No, I'm just nice and brief. Just tell me yes or no.
But aren't we people conditioned to always come up with an excuse?
Well, people will treat you the way you allow them to.
Absolutely.
Nobody complains to me. So you know what? I'll let you complain for 30 seconds, but then you got to spend 4 minutes and tell me what you want. Are you willing to do that? No, bye-bye. See, my friends know not to call me to complain. Or if they are, they're calling for a reset.
You know, there's a piece of research that shows on average, people tell 37 other people when things go wrong,
Yes.
and they tell 5 when they go right. Well, I don't use my 37, and I'm sure you don't, and I know Sukhdev does. So somebody else has grabbed some of our share of the average.
You know, I always say about in the days that I went, you know, I love cooking. You know, I think I've been to a restaurant 10 times since March, so I'm fine. You know, I don't need to leave my house. But when I did, and my friend noticed at one time that I always give feedback. And not just negative feedback. He goes, you're pretty consistent. I said, yep, I always give feedback, whether negative or positive.
Yeah.
But I don't call it negative feedback. I just call it feedback, you know. And I'm a good reframer too.
Brilliant. I'm not surprised. I'd like to know, I mean, there's so many things I'd like to know, but you talk about purpose, and it's pretty evident that you've got a strong sense of purpose and that you are living a life with purpose. What I'd like to know is, you know, for you, what now? More of the same, or is there something that you still aspire to engage with?
Okay, I'm going to answer that question first by letting people know my 3rd book is called Your Life's Purpose.
Yeah.
So my whole life, I've been such a great observer. You know, I can sit and talk to somebody within minutes. I can know their communication style.
Yeah.
Within minutes, I know what words to get best response. And in many cases, I know what would fulfill them. So in my book, Your Life Purpose, I am bold enough to tell everybody what their life purpose is. Who do I think I am? Telling everybody what their life purpose is. So I'm going to talk about that. And it requires a paradigm shift for some people.
Okay.
I'm going to show you a little target.
Can I just say that we've already required a paradigm shift from a lot of people who are listening to this.
Okay, great. Well, welcome to another shift. Here's the shift. The purpose of your life is this target. Say it when you see it.
Identify fulfillment needs, create.
No, the center only.
Joy.
Yeah.
That is the target. The target is joy. That's the purpose in your life. People say, no, the purpose of my life is to be a singer. I said, oh, how do you feel when you're singing? Oh, I feel this and I feel that and I feel that. Oh, the purpose of my life is to be a writer or a mother or a doctor or a healer or a taxi driver. It's not the job that you're after, it's what fulfills you. So the purpose in your life is to experience joy. So the next ring says, well, I don't even know what brings me joy. So the outside of the ring is what? Can you read that for me?
Identify fulfillment needs.
That's right. So in my book, I start with the list of 30 fulfillment needs. I'll read a couple of them.
Okay.
In other words, what I'm suggesting is that in my book, it's like a game show. You start off with 30, and at the end of the book, the top 4 surfaces. And then that doesn't mean you don't have all of them, but when you know the top 4 things that fulfill you, boy, can you ever be deliberate like me? Because right now, I'm getting all mine met. Right now, I'm going to tell you what they are shortly. So here's some of them: accomplishment, adventure, appreciation, fun, leadership, contribution, control. They're not for everybody.
No.
Yeah. So when you identify what fulfills you, then you build strategies to get them met more often. So that's the real question. The real question is isn't what's the purpose of my life? That's easy. That's a giveaway. It's to feel good. The real question is, what fulfills me?
Isn't it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Just as an observation that so many people are a human doing and not a human being. And it seems to me that what you're talking about is the being, what makes you be joyful, what makes you feel fulfilled, rather than it's the job that I do.
That's right. It's not the job. But ideally, you would learn how to get your needs met in that job, right? But if you don't know what they are. So I'm going to tell you what my top 4 needs are. Again, in my book, you can actually download this list on my website, michaellosier.com. There's 30 on here. So the process, here's my top 4. The first one is attention. Or attentiveness, because sometimes people don't like the word. Hey, if you don't like the word and it makes you feel uncomfortable when it comes up, it's yours, right? So attention, my number 1. Am I getting my attention needs met right now? Yes or no?
I would say
Number 2, influencing people in a positive way.
Yeah.
Is that happening right now?
In spades.
Number 3 is intimacy. Now, here is intimacy. Into me, see. In other words, we're not talking about sports and the cars and weather. We're talking about intimate subjects, pain and growth and success. Everything today has been intimate. If you guys say, okay, well, what kind of car do you drive? You know what I would say next? I don't do that. I don't do that kind of conversation. It's boring.
Yeah.
It might fulfill somebody else, but I'm not looking after other people's feelings right now. I'm looking after my own. So right now, let's check so far. Am I getting my attention needs met? Yes or no? Check. Am I getting my influence? Yes. Check. Am I getting intimate conversations? Yes. And the 4th one's freedom.
Okay.
Freedom. I'm sitting at home. I'm doing this interview. We picked the time together. What's freer than that? So, and the question is, has there ever been a time when they weren't met and then I wasn't happy? And my sister, one time I'm at a seminar, my sister was my assistant for about 10 years and was traveling with me. And one time I'm telling the story about when I was writing the book, right? And kind of introducing it while I'm writing it and thinking, when I'm writing a book about fulfillment needs, and I said, it's important that we're fulfilled. I said, and I told people, and I said, I remember my first job. And then I said, I wish I could remember. And my sister's at the back of the room. And you know what? In the history of ever working for me, she never stood up, ever. So she stands up. She said, I remember. She said, you called me at noon crying to come pick you up. But she said, don't tell mom and dad. And then I remembered. She picked me up at noon. You know where I was working? Mowing lawns in a graveyard.
Oh my goodness.
Sweet. Jennifer, was I getting my attention needs, influence needs, intimate conversations, and freedom? I was pushing a lawnmower in a quiet graveyard. I could not, it paid well, like it was like 14 or something. Oh, I did not care about that. Take me home. But then my most fun job ever in the whole world, when I was going to school, I was working for Kmart. You know what Kmart is? The big department store. And I'm on the mic. Attention, Kmart. I mean, could I have been more happy with that? I love that job. Why? In hindsight, because I was fulfilled. And then when I was even with the government, I was a project manager. So I was kind of never at my desk. So I did have freedom and I was influencing people and I was kind of secretly coaching law of attraction while I was in the, so listen, I had my needs met my whole career. That's how selfish I am.
I think we need to redefine the word selfish because it has such negative connotations.
You know, well, I did that earlier. I said selfish equals self-care.
Absolutely.
And we need to own that. I care about myself enough to that self-care.
I think that's a really important place for people to start. You know, we've been talking for an hour and it feels like 5 minutes. It
Yeah.
feels as if there is so much more that we can talk about. But I would be really grateful if you could let people know where they can find you, and to leave us with something, that a challenge, if you like, something for people to take
Yeah.
away.
Oh, please, I can do that. So here's your homework between now and the rest of your life.
Yes.
Is to eliminate the words don't, not, and no and reduce them. And every time you use them, use the words, so what do you want?
Yeah.
Over the next couple of days, you're not going to like me very much. Matter of fact, I might even annoy you as you catch yourself using the words don't, not, and no. But every time you hear yourself, you cannot not hear yourself say, so what do I want? And then when you go from what you don't want to what you do want, you just reset your vibe. And remember, the only way to get a different result is to send a different vibe. And my website, you can go to hangoutwithmichael.com, and all of my books there. I have free courses on everything that's there and videos. You know what? Go get lost at hangoutwithmichael.com.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. Sukhdev, do you want to finish us off?
Yes. I do have one last question before we do wrap it up. I want to know, like, who do you study? Like, we all want growth as human beings. Tony Robbins studies some of the world's biggest leaders and, learns off. We all need to learn. I'm just wondering, who do you recommend, and who do you follow, study, and get inspired by?
So we're going to end the interview with this question, and you're not going to like the answer. So probably don't air this piece. I don't recommend anybody because I don't read books, and I don't go to seminars, and I don't rent videos, and I don't watch seminars. I've read 10 books in 31 years. I stopped listening to Abraham Hicks 19 years ago. And in my own head, I'm keeping myself pure by not picking up other people's ideas, which they all could be correct. I do have a fourth book that's not mine, but the Emotion Code book, that plays a big role in my life. But yeah, people will find their own path. You don't have to read books. You know, people, oh, you have to read, oh, you're supposed to read 20 books a day or 20 books a month. Listen, I sold 3.5 million books and I only read 10.
Mm-hmm.
So the answer is, I don't have anybody to recommend. Just use your own guidance system, which is your vibrational meter reader, to decide, am I a reader or a watcher? And there's nothing wrong with not being a reader or not wanting to watch or not wanting to do group work or not wanting to be by yourself. It's nobody's business but your own. I don't know, maybe there's a nugget in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Having an awareness of yourself, I think, is for many people something that they struggle with. There's so much white noise, so much distraction, that they don't take the time. They're scared to take the time to actually be with themselves. And I think what you today, Michael, sorry.
Well, I'm thinking of two little messages in there. One, it's about boundaries, right? And it's hard to implement a bound. It's one that said, I have boundaries around stuff. I don't do that and I do this, period. And then when you have to enforce the boundaries, that's when it gets difficult. You mean I got to tell people that it's not okay to complain to me?
Mm-hmm.
It's hard. It stings a bit. And then it's like, great. I just taught them how to treat me. That'll never happen again. Nice. I just saved a relationship. Because I can flick really fast.
Yeah. I
can flick people out of my life. And I thought, you know what? Why don't I tell you that you're about to be flicked? And maybe you can save the flick, right? And I don't say it in those words. I'm saying that to you. But just the whole notion about, no, that they'll find other people to complain to, not me.
How did you learn to do that? Like, that seems like a really tough thing to do, especially when it's like family or friends. And
well, the way to do that is because these people are complainers.
Yeah.
And they're always, complainers. I don't like this. I don't like that. So what you do, not you, but here's what happens. When somebody's complaining, two things that can happen. One, we can buy into the conversation and feed it. Or one, we can say, oh, that sounds pretty shitty. What would you like instead? You don't like your job. What would you like? Oh, you don't like that part. What would you like? And you keep resetting and resetting and resetting, and two things will happen. You'll piss them off and they won't talk to you again. Perfect. Or they're going to say, you know what? This is pretty uplifting. Matter of fact, when people tell you you're the most uplifting person in their life, it means you raise them from a low vibration to a high one.
Yeah.
Nobody else is doing that. It's like, you uplifted them. They raised their dial to meet yours, as opposed to us lowering our dials to meet theirs. And that's what you're always at choice. Am I going to contribute to this conversation, or am I going to steer it the other way?
On my desk, I was a principal for over 20 years, and on my desk it had a little sign saying, "No problem dumpers, only solution."
Yes.
And I think, without recognizing law of attraction,
or no whiners and all that other, like, just not attracting that.
no.
Well, I had fun today. Thank you for giving me, I rarely tell that whole story today. So there could be, if people watch it, they'll have not heard many of that, because mostly I'm in training mode. You saw when I got into training mode, we were there and I wasn't coming out of it. So you managed to catch some personal stuff before that, but mostly I'm all trainer all the time.
Well,
awesome. This was really cool, Michael. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
And thanks very much for all of your great wisdom. Bye-bye now.
You're welcome. Okay, thanks for hanging out with me today. Cheers.
Bye-bye.